right, welcome back from the quick break. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are saying this morning, and I have with me as guest who will be doing us the honors of looking at all the big stories making the rounds and Nigeria's Daily. We've got former director of news at the Voice of Nigeria, in the person of Ahazia Suleiman is in the studio. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, my pleasure.
All right,
Anthony.
All right, let's begin looking at the papers. We've got The Guardian up first for review. Let's see what The Guardian has in store for us in terms of the headlines, the big stories making the rounds. And we've got Nigeria falling out of the top 4 African economies on weak currency is the screaming headline there, talking about the Forex crisis is the rider. 65 CSOs withdraw as NLC declares federal government mobilizes for nationwide strike. That's a big story there on The Guardian. The Stop Blame Game adopt Argentina's reforms. Atiku tells Tinubu is one of the headline stories we see there. Then we've got a conditional cash transfer to resume amid a probe. Then Nigeria hopeful of positive outcome at the WTO, says a minister. That's another big headlines there. All right, let's quickly look at, still looking at The Guardian. Nigeria falling out of top 4 African economies due to weak currencies. Are we surprised?
No, I'm not surprised at all. When this government came to power in May 2023, the Nigerian Naira was exchanging for less than 500 Naira to a dollar. Today, we are having almost 2,000. So certainly, the rating of our economy will drop, and means of purchasing power of Nigerians will definitely drop. And we are going to, you see, I'm not too surprised. Niger, that is under a military junta, they said their economy is the 6th fastest growing economy in Africa after the military took over, because they are doing things the way it should be done. Before then, the French will dictate everything to them. So when the papers are saying, The Guardian is saying that Nigeria has dropped, yes, Nigeria was the leading economy in Africa, followed by South Africa, Egypt, and Kenya, but now we are going to drop from that top 4. Certainly something has to be fundamentally done to our currency to stop the slide in the Naira. Although yesterday I heard that
Mr. President set up the Tripartite
Economic Committee made up of the business moguls, the technocrats, and every other person.
Do you think that's the solution? Because it's more like the elites coming together.
You see, when I read that story, I said, well, doing things so that we won't even have anybody to blame. But these people, in my own understanding, in my common elementary economics, they are the cause of this thing, because they are the ones selling everything that we have. I listened to Dangote's daughter over the weekend on BBC Hausa. What she was saying, they said that even the salt that they bring from abroad, the sugar that they bring from abroad and process here, then sell to us. Why did he buy Bachita? Why did they buy Savannah Sugar Company in Numan in Adamawa State? If they cannot produce it locally, then why import? So because they import these things in dollars and they are coming to sell to us, I see the exchange rate, even if it is 1,000. How many people can afford? Now calculate and look at it. If you are earning 60,000, then change it into dollars. How much will that? That 60,000 cannot buy you a bag of rice for you to. So I think, well, let us give them the benefit of the doubt and see what they can come out with, because people say if you want to keep your things, give it, if you know somebody within your community, give it to the thief to hold.
Is that the strategy the president is adopting?
Maybe, because I think he has tried all he can do, and bringing these people together. Let's see what they can do. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. If the dollar will crash and our purchasing power will increase.
All right, one key issue which Nigerians are looking forward in greater anticipation, even though the federal government and the security agencies are not looking towards it, is the 27th and 28th of February 2024, where the NLC is still hell-bent on proceeding with the national strike action. Now we are told 65 civil society organizations are pulling out. Their chief partner in the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has already pulled out, giving very excuse that they were not carried along. Do you think the TUC is a mole? Because they've always been with the NLC. How come suddenly they're telling us they were not carried along? And 65 groups pulling out. Is this real numbers?
If I begin to say something, maybe before I go out of this studio.
No, that's the essence we want you here to say something.
If I say
if you see something, you
by
say
the time
something.
I move out of this studio, I will be.
No, don't worry.
So I know. I'm saying it because
safe.
I have the freedom to express my my
sure.
feelings. I worked in Lagos for 16 years, and I've seen how these unions work during Obasanjo time. Let me tell you, they were being used. For instance, if the government wants to increase fuel money from, say, 45 naira to 55, they will come and tell the government, put it at 65, and we will come and agree. So government never lost any single kobo in all the fuel increases that they've had in the past. And so I am not surprised that TUC is pulling out. I am not also surprised that some associations are pulling out. What has this current NLC been able to achieve in terms of galvanizing workers, fighting for their rights? This is not the time for them to begin to say, when the president is trying to put some things, some palliatives together, that they begin rolling out. When they increase the fuel price after the inauguration, that should have been the right time. And after that, the dollar, when it started sliding, then you call up people, purchasing power is diminished. But these people, I'm not saying TUC is not a mole, but they are being realistic with what is happening. And those 60-something associations that are pulling out, because look at what Joe Ajero wanted to do when during the Imo elections. He was arrested and brutalized. Because you don't take side. You don't do that. As a unionist, you must remain. As a little boy in secondary school, I started unionizing. Up to the time I joined, it was when I entered management that I now pulled out of union activities. And so when I see them doing what they are doing, I laugh, because let me tell you, as a reporter then, during the military administration, I was in Bauchi State. I was attached to the government house. They were negotiating for a salary increase for workers. And we sat down. We were waiting for the outcome. As a TV reporter then, at the end of the day, I went to my friend who was the director, whatever, in the government house. What did I see? Bags of money being given to the union leaders. And I came out annoyed. I said, we are fighting for our own salary increase. You guys are collecting money. And up till today, let me tell you, anybody from Bauchi can quote me. They are working on what they call the Bauchi formula. Their salary is less than any other state in this country. And because of that, they collected that money, and each time they come, when people are moving forward, they are just one step behind the other people. When I saw them, what I did was to mobilize my colleagues. I said, let them issue a press release. We will not, as a TV reporter, I said, I will not cover you. You're telling us that you've called off the strike, you are doing. No, these are the ways. Some of this, if you see somebody not doing anything, unionizing, there is something behind it.
All right, so the Bauchi formula is a new term now we've adopted here, the Bauchi formula. All right, let's look at Atiku Abubakar, SY Vice President of Nigeria. It says, take the Argentina formula reforms and implement in Nigeria. Is that realistic?
I think what the government of Argentina has done sincerely is, the government was inaugurated in December last year. Our own government was inaugurated in May. And what did the president? He caught up on government expenditure. Nobody will use like presidential flamboyant kind of lively living and living. He caught everything, and he is being realistic with what is happening. And people are beginning, investors are beginning to trust the government of Argentina today, that they are now coming back to come and invest in that country. So we need our president also to adopt that kind of, you see, the present Federal Executive Council is the largest that we've ever had. And you must cut the way government spends money. Yes, agreed, Tinubu has tried his best. He has reduced the number of people that normally follow when they're traveling.
The entourage.
The entourage, he reduced it. And I think we should adopt the, well, I'm not campaigning for anyone, but Peter Obi, when he was governor of Anambra State, maybe 2-3 cars following him, and he's coming to Abuja. You just come and lodge in a moderate hotel in Abuja without all the everything. So that is what we expect from this present administration, and avoid bringing in to me, what Atiku said and what I will advise the present government to do is to adopt the Obasanjo formula, where he went round the entire universe and looked for credible Nigerians, the Ngozi Okonjo-Iwealas of this world, the Obi Ezekwesili's of this world, the Dora Akunyili's of this world. They came and they made the Obasanjo government tick and what it was. So if we do that, avoid kind of appointing cronies and other people that are loyal to you for political patronage. No, the Nigeria of today goes beyond that. We need credible people that will help us come out of the woods.
All right, well said there. Let's move on to the Daily Trust. Let's see what the Daily Trust has in store for us in terms of the big stories making the rounds today. We've got Qatar backtracks, host Nigeria Business Forum. We've got Nigeria reaping the benefits of a reform. Builders seek alternatives as cement price soars. And that's the headline story there. We've got hardship. NLC mobilizes for protest despite the federal government's warning. Gaza troops talks resume in Doha. That's the headline story there. Nigeria and northern senators welcome ECOWAS lifting of sanctions. All right, let's look at Nigeria and northern senators welcoming the lifting of sanctions. Why does it seem like that section of
I think not only the northern senators, Nigerians generally are happy with the lifting of the ban, the sanctions against these 4 West African brothers and sisters. You know, when they impose those sanctions, it is not the military junta that was suffering.
True.
It's the common man. And you know, Nigeria and Niger have common borders where you move, buy and sell things commonly. And this thing was stopped. Do you know that those who are going for lesser Hajj, they have to go through Chad, then fly, because the military junta in Niger say no flying over our airspace. And so we are common people joined by common destiny. And so when you say you are imposing sanctions against these people, now if Niger start to retaliate, if they dam the river Niger and they stop us from flying over their country, you know the repercussion in Niger. Today, our the power is not steady. And if they dam that river, we are doomed forever. So, you know, this development that they have done this, based on certain things that made ECOWAS, because when I listen to Nigerians, when they were commenting on these sanctions, they say ECOWAS was listening to, it was the voice of Jacob, the hand of Esau, because it was not the real ECOWAS Africans in West Africa that were speaking. Okay. They were being dictated to by the international community. Look at what is happening in Niger today. What do they call that mineral? Apart from gold, they have uranium.
Which is very key.
Yeah, and you can use it to generate power. Wow. And it was the French companies that were mining it and selling it at 10% of the world price. So within this period that the military took over, China and Russia came to them and they were buying it at the real market price. And that is why today Niger is being regarded as the 6th fastest growing economy in Africa, because now they are realizing what they own. French government, I learned that they are trying to come back to lobby and come back and negotiate how they will share, but they were ripping Niger. And so I'm happy that we are reconciling. The other key thing there was security. You know, now Niger, Chad, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Benin, are part of the multinational military joint task force fighting Boko Haram over the years. Now, kidnapping and banditry has increased in the northwest, and these are states bordering that part of the world. And today, if you say they are not, we are blocking their own area, they are safe. Last week, over 40,000 Nigerians moved into Niger, seeking for, whether it is a propaganda, but I saw the clips, I saw it on social media, where they sent a senior military officer to receive them and say, this is home for you. Please feel at home. And they provide them not temporary shelters. So you can see the kind of damage that this kind of sanctions would have caused between Nigeria and a country like Niger, between us. We are the same and the same people.
All right, let's see the picture representation of the Daily Trust and look at other headline stories on the Daily Trust as we look at, we've got Qatar backtracks and builders seeks alternative as cement soars. And looking at the issue of Qatar backtracking, initially they said they were going to host the business forum. Do you think it's deliberate, and why would they backtrack?
You see, what I say, I have worked in government for 35 years and retired. The confidentiality of reports, that letter that was leaked that Qatar were saying they were not going to host the business community. Yeah. It wasn't finalized.
Before and so they went to press.
They went to press. So when it leaked, they now had to come and correct it and put the right thing. Yes, the president's visit to Qatar is not at the instance of Nigeria. They invited him to come on a state visit. And normally when a president is visiting a country, the opportunities that are available, they enhance it and they come together. Yes, they are oil-producing country just like Nigeria. We could gain so many other advantages. How do they get their own funding, finances? How do they control all those kind of things? So it is the work of evil men in service that leaked that story. But backtracking, well, we are saying they are backtracking. But the real thing is the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria is going to Qatar on the invitation of the Qatari government. And certainly part of the things that they will discuss is business. What do we have in common that we will discuss, if not business? How to grow our economies. And so I think backtracking is being a little bit sensational about it.
All right. Okay, let's move on. Talking about alternatives to cement, that's what builders. Is this an opportunity for Nigeria to rediscover something good again?
I think so. Anthony, I'm worried. When I was building my retirement house in the village, which was burnt by bandits as well.
Wow.
So
that's
when I was building,
what state is that?
In Gombe. So when I was building it, I was buying cement less than 1,500. Today, I listened to what the Dangote daughter that I told you about. She said they cannot sell cement less than 8,000. So if you want to build a house, how many bags of cement would you need? And therefore, if there are alternatives, I'll be happy that we grab those alternatives. I was in South Africa sometime 2004, and I took time to visit where they're doing their mass housing. And I went there. There's no cement. They have this special clay where they mold the blocks, and they are solid, very, very solid, that can withstand rain. The only time they use cement is to plaster it. And so if we can get these local alternatives, and I tell you, I'm not from Bauchi, I'm from Gombe State, actually, but they gave birth to us in Gombe. So I tell you that the sun in Bauchi, the ones that they use in building the fence surrounding Bauchi, in how many years? More than
some centuries.
Some centuries, more than 2 centuries ago. It's still some of
rock solid.
They are standing. So if that kind of sand, scientists should look at it. What makes it like that? Even come rain, they are not plastered. They are still standing solid. So that kind of, you explore that kind of thing as an alternative to what will supplement cement. If the cement is going high, my area completely, we have Ashaka Cement here. I'm not advertising. We have cement company, let me say that. Cement company in Gombe State. And from Numan down to Ashaka, is limestone that is lying down there that we cannot finish exploring. And that is the main raw material for the development of cement. So if we can, and they're saying because they bring some of these things from abroad and they buy it in dollar, now we are going back to the dollar issue.
But the minister has debunked that statement, saying most of the, in short, the key things for production is sourced in Nigeria, so that the manufacturers do not have any reason to.
It's not 100%, but about 95% is sourced within the country. And because Nigerians, watermelon that is planted by the roadside, they will sell it based, they say dollar has gone up. So you see, this is an attitude in us that we must change. What we source locally. I want to buy tamarind that nobody plants, nobody waters it. You understand? And the guy said, don't you know how much the dollar is changing for? I said, did you water that tree? Because you climbed and harvested and brought, it is not your own. You did not plant it.
True.
So why? So this is an attitude within Nigerians that we really, really need to change, and people must be patriotic to help. You always look at those at top, the government always accusing them. No, what have you and I, at the down, have we done to help those ones?
All right, well said. Let's look at truce for Gaza. Talks resumes in Doha, Qatar. Qatar has always been very strategic in trying to get Israel and Palestinians. Do you see headway? And especially
I don't know.
The grand assault is still continuing.
The way the Israeli Prime Minister, the hard line he is taking, honestly, Anthony, they need to understand the humanitarian crisis in that area is so frightening. See young children. Yes, if you watch Al Jazeera, you see that they are concentrating only on one side. But look at other channels, you see the balance in it. But I have visited the state of Israel, and I know how integrated they are. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, you go to you are crossing here, and they're all the same, and the same people. A lot of people don't really understand that there are Christians in Palestine. We look at them as if they are all Arabs. Yes, I'm against what Hamas is doing, and I'm against what Hamas did to the Israelis who, yes. So, but they should look at it from the humanitarian part of it.
Benjamin Netanyahu is just trying to play politics by trying to win the heart and support of Israelis by playing the hard stand?
You see, this one goes back to biblical history, how they are refusing to agree on the two-state solution. You know, when they gave, when Israel took over that land, they will tell you it's the promised land, and that is their own land. Recall when Goliath and David and all those stories in the Bible, but still they are insisting that they are the owners and they want to dismantle Hamas and take over the control of that state, because Hamas has been operating in such a way that they will hit and run and operate. See what the Israelis have been able, the tunnels underground where they were training, and they are now using human beings, using hospitals, soft spots as shields. So you understand. So these are things that it's a very, very sad situation. But I pray that the role Qatar is trying to play, it will bring a solution, and they should soften and go after, use intelligence to get Hamas people.
All right, let's quickly look at the Vanguard, what the Vanguard is saying this morning as we reach almost the business end of the paper review. Quickly, let's see the Vanguard. Job losses, factory closures loom as unsold goods pile up, says Manufacturer Association of Nigeria. We've got other headlines. Edo Guba, 15 men, 1 woman angling to succeed. Obaseki is the headline story there. Then we've got a forest crisis, a clamp down on BDCs. What's in the situation is what the headline is saying this morning. Okay, let's quickly look at the BDCs, forest crisis, clamping down on BDCs. Do you think that they are the major problem for this situation?
You see, Anthony, you see, this Bureau de Change people that we see along the streets like this, they are agents of some big men. Some big men are behind them. They will go. You and I cannot go today to the central bank and get those dollars and go and give them out. No, They're climbing down on them, it worsens the situation. So rather, they should go to the source, the central bank. You know, in the last administration, I'm sorry to say this, they said they use it if they want to make you a billionaire in 2 hours. They will do that. Just give you dollars, give it to the Bureau de Change, they give you Naira, and you return the original money, you make your own interest, and you go. Because they had 2 different exchange rates. And therefore, hitting the Bureau de Change operators, it is not the solution. Let them go back and look at how these dollars come in and how. You see, I have a friend, last week, her son was schooling in Ukraine. They paid everything, and because Ukraine is unstable, they now had to allow her to wait for 1 year. This January, they refunded the monies to her in dollars. Whoa. And so she went to exchange. You know, they went with my wife, actually. They went, they were given 1,700, and they were told to go somewhere because EFCC and other security agencies, if they see them, they will say, they will think somebody sent them to come and do. But this is legitimate. In the bank, they were pricing it so low, so she collected her dollars, and they even refused to give her in bulk. They were giving her $100. So she collected over a long period of time to go and exchange. So you can see it is not helping matters. Yeah, the banks are involved. The banks, the central bank,
they are also corporate.
They are all corporate. They are the ones doing this round tripping. Honestly speaking, they will have to. We have to attack them.
Round tripping is a crime.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's quickly look at Edo State, 15 men, 1 woman. How would you describe the primaries, producing 3 candidates, a rerun called for those primaries?
I monitored the primaries, both APC,
and the
PDP, and LP. All of them, there was none that didn't have problem. Where we had the LP, I thought it was a straightforward thing. Somebody has come up to say that there was also a parallel primaries. The PDP, the one that produced Shuaibu and the one that produced that businessman, the name has escaped me, you know. Then APC, they had to cancel the Hope Uzodinma's committee and
rerun again.
I mean, so why are we, what is there?
Does it tell us how desperate, unruly our parties and
because there is no democracy in our political parties. If true democracy were to hold, honestly speaking, I would let them go back to option A4 that we did. So you start screening yourself from the grassroots up to the national level, then all these things will be avoided.
All right, let's look at, but does this give us an idea how worrisome September is going to be in Edo State? Because if the primaries can produce so much trauma, what do you think is going to happen?
I pray that the pre-election cases will be done with before the September elections.
Okay.
But once we get there, if the true candidates, the courts were able to settle on who is the true candidate, I think it will be a fierce battle. All the parties, yes, PDP will want to consolidate, APC will want to take over. And Labour Party that is coming very strongly.
Should that be a chance for this other, would we say, emerging parties, so to say?
If they, you see, we are so selfish in this country. If it is not myself or my family member, nobody else should have it. If these parties will merge and agree, share positions, and agree, you cannot, all of us cannot be the governor.
True.
All of us cannot be. But everybody wants to be. If it is not, even when you know that you don't have the spread, you don't have what it takes to become, you come out and just to spoil shows for other parties.
Right, a quick one: lost job losses, goods and services. You know, talking about the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria.
I'm happy that the manufacturers are now saying that the goods that they are manufacturing are rotting away, because Nigeria is a consuming country. We hardly produce. We hardly
but
produce.
what's the implication when it means? Does it mean that Nigerians are not
because we are not producing, that is why jobs are lost. Yes, gone are the days. You go to the Cameroonian market. I've traveled far and wide. You go to Cameroonian market, 60% of the goods you find in the market are from Nigeria. Go to Niger, go to Burkina Faso. If it is not made in Nigeria, they will not take it. But these days, we are importing. See, all the pharmaceutical companies, major ones, have moved out of Nigeria for not having ease of doing business. And so it is more expensive for them. It is better they produce and import this. So jobs are going to be lost.
All right, quickly, let's look at the Leadership newspaper as we're going to look at Leadership and Punch in a quick rush. But let's look at the Leadership quickly. Leadership tells us governors slam forum over silence on 30 billion naira largesse. CBN pegs purchase of dollars in cash at $5,000. We've got 5.108 trillion naira in 8 months. Hardship unabated in states despite huge allocations is the headline story there. We've got other stories making the round as regards Edo 2024. Third candidate emerges in Labour Party, like you rightly pointed out. And fire got FCT state minister's apartment.
Sad one.
Very sad one. Investigations are on. Let's quickly just look at hardship unabated in state despite huge allocations. Do we hold this? Is it that the state governments are not doing enough or expending these monies to
everybody is looking at Tinubu at the top. You know, we have states, we have local governments.
Yes.
What are their roles in alleviating the sufferings of the people?
True.
I'm telling you, I'm from a village in Gombe State. I was in Gombe for better part of January before I returned to Abuja. And I see how hungry. Go to buy akara or masa. Go there. You see these almajiris lining up waiting for something. So the hardship, they are even begging for what to do so that they can get what to eat. The cost, I was in my village, beans initially was 45,000 per bag. Before I left the village, it moved up to 65,000, and I heard it was up to 75,000. So you can see, and honestly speaking, there must be some way that government should assist. I farm, and I know how much I buy fertilizer. I know how much I pay for labor. I know how much it is used to even harvest and bring these things together. So unless something is done significantly to alleviate this suffering, agriculture is the solution to all our problems. In the East, you can cultivate cassava and produce gari that we will eat. Even if we don't have anything, if we have food, we're happy.
All right, that's how we're going to call it a wrap on the newspaper review segment. I want to say a big thank you to the man who is making his debut on Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Global Money. His name is Ahazia Suleiman, former director of News Voice of Nigeria. We're so glad to have him join this family and also give us his very expert opinion as regards the big issues making the rounds in Nigeria's national dailies. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we hope subsequently you'll be part of the paper review so that we can get tap from the wealth of experience.
Thank you, my pleasure being here once again, and I'm happy to be in this studio. I've found it difficult getting to the studio, but now I know. So next time I will not miss my way.
That's why we're global. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go for a very quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be talking ECOWAS, lifting sanctions on Burkina Faso, Niger, and other countries, and what awaits the Economic Community of West African States. We'll be looking at it. We've got Raphael Oni, who is editor-in-chief of the Diplomat magazine Extra. We call him Dean of Diplomat Reporters right here in the Federal Capital Territory. He'll be joining us to help us look at what played out over the weekend, the implications and what we expect from these countries that the sanctions have been lifted over. And afterwards, we will be hopefully having another guest in the person of Honorable Promise Ochuku, who will be looking at other issues of national interest. Stay with us.